You're watching Pet Project.
Come on, bud.
So we're pretty new to the whole goat thing and have become incredibly obsessed with the whole goat thing.
5 years ago, if you told me I'd have goats in my future, I'd be, you're crazy. When you see this guy, he is so loving. He is just, he's like butter. It melts in your hand. We're a proud family to say that our goat is the first pet mayor of Edgewater.
He ran on the platform of diversity. We lived in Edgewater for 15 years. When we, of course, adopted Jeepers, our first goat, we decided that we wanted to move outside the city. But I still own an Edgewater business there. We heard about the Pet Mayor contest, and I thought, wow, you know, Pax is a really amazing guy, and we really love how he's developed, and that would be so fun to share with the people in Edgewater. So he sort of like could be our link between here, our new home, and our home that's in our heart, which is Edgewater. Truly, Edgewater is in our heart.
We get to see him every day, but there's a lot of people in the city that have never ever seen a goat before. To see the expression on the kid's face of seeing Pax was priceless and worth every bit of time that we put into the effort.
He ran on the platform of diversity.
Because obviously he's not the most common, animal that you would have, and yet he obviously represents the diversity, such as the diversity within Edgewater.
Basically, the Pet Mayor campaign was threefold. It was to promote Edgewater as a pet-friendly neighborhood, and it was also a charity event to raise money for Care for Real. Care for Real has something called the Pet Pantry, and it's one of the few places in the country where not only do they help feed and clothe and do all these wonderful things for people in need in the neighborhood, but they also help the people who have pets.
To know that we as a collective six were able to raise close to $20,000 in just a couple months' time, I think says a lot. And I really think that in the future we can do a lot more as a result of this inaugural opportunity.
In the end, we definitely stuck together. It was really about raising the money than I think anything else. But in the end, Pax pulled it through, and so he officially became the first pet mayor of Edgewater.
Everyone's dependent on everyone because being out in nature with only your dogs for transportation, you depend on them as much as they depend on you. Oh! No one's gonna come to save you, so you've got to know how to save yourself.
Stay. When I was a consistent Iditarod top 5 team, my focus was getting there as fast as I can. And now my focus is getting there as fast as I can while teaching other people how to do it well and appreciate the same things I've learned to appreciate. I'm Jeff King, 4-time Iditarod champion from Denali Park, Alaska.
I'm Johanna Badalich, I'm 15 years old, and I'm a junior dog musher.
Joanna, you're kind of the pup of the team here, the little pup.
I've loved dogs ever since I was really, really young.
Mushing is, physically, it's a dog pulling a sled, but emotionally, it's this connection between the dogs and the handlers. You need to know what's going on in their heads, and really, it's a lot like you're one mind out on the trail. You're feeling for them, you are taking care of them.
Good boy, Lucky! Good dogs!
I know that this life, it may sound all glorious and beautiful, but there's definitely some hard parts. When you're out on the trail, things can go wrong really easy. You've got to learn to deal with it on your own. No one's gonna come to save you, so you've got to know how to save yourself.
Cody, put the ATV up, ready to hook up, will ya?
Come on, bud.
Him behind swing. All right, Johanna, hop on with me.
And Jeff is like the Michael Jordan of dog mushing.
I had to control my fangirliness.
What have you learned from him?
I know how to take care of the dogs, how to be self-sufficient, and just how to have a good attitude on the trail.
It's flattering as hell to be able to feel like a hero to a young woman who is now grown up, and now continuing to do extremely well with training. She is one of the kinds of youth where you just want to help them because they want to work so hard and they have such a commitment. It's really fun to share. You know, what's it worth if you're not sharing it? Not much. When I say G and they start to go, then you get off the brake. I feel so grateful for having gotten good at something, to be able to share it, because I wouldn't be happy doing this if I couldn't share it. Hi.
And Jeff's got 4 Iditarod championships. Do you someday want to try to grab that?
I want to try my hardest. A lot of these mushers will talk about this sort of tranquil experience out on the trail and how they reach like a peaceful state of mind. I really want to feel like that one-on-one connection with the dogs, and I think the Iditarod would be a good place to do it.
You're watching Pet Project. Follow Localish on social media. You're watching Pet Project.
And they said it's impossible.
A lot of people believe what they see on TV with that whole big bad wolf stuff. We're raised with fairy tales from when we're this big, and that doesn't exist. Welcome to Howling Woods Farm. We are a non-profit rescue. Every animal you're going to be meeting today is from a rescue situation. Half our facility is educational outreach, doing this kind of stuff, but the other half is an actual rescue or shelter. We get them from all over the country, and we're always at capacity. We keep them forever till they find a home. We have 10 acres here. There's sometimes deer around here. Our shelter animals go through hundreds of pounds of meat a week just to exist. Shelters cannot take in anything you say has wolf in it. It's an instant death sentences in most cases, unless they know about a rescue like us, which there's maybe 15 to 20 in our whole country. Samson is a very, very sweet boy, but the first couple of his years of his life were not so great. He was owned by a person that was ready to shoot him if our owner didn't go up and rescue him. And that's what's pretty much typical. So our owner ran up, rescued Samson and his litter mate. His litter mate found a home in 2 seconds, and for obvious reasons, no one can part with Samson. We're an educational facility, so we go off the premises. We go to fairs, festivals, classrooms, scouts. We can try to get them to howl, but the trick is each and every one of you has to do it too. We are extremely, extremely strict with an adoption process. Nobody walks in here and leaves with one. We do strict home check, vet check. You have to have, as you can imagine, something like this. We have animals that have a little bit of wolf, a lot of wolf, and some that have no wolf at all, that were about to be euthanized because they have brown eyes and are furry. So it's very, very sad. So education is where it all starts.
My name is Nick, and I'm the owner of Bluebird Farm Alpacas. We usually like to start with the difference between llamas and alpacas, because the llamas tend to give our alpacas a bad reputation. Now, alpacas are members of the camelid family. They do spit, but they're not apt to spit at you. But for the most part, you should leave the alpaca farm today unscathed by any alpaca spit.
The cool thing about Bluebird Farm Alpacas here in Peatpack, New Jersey is that not only do you get to walk around and take selfies with the alpacas, but you also get to wear products handcrafted by local artisans.
An alpaca's fiber is really one of the finest natural fibers there is. We share the alpacas once a year, typically in the beginning of May. We will take that fiber and we will send it out to a mill in West Virginia, and they will process it into skeins of yarn, essentially spinning the fiber into yarn. Each individual skein is labeled, and we will take this skein of yarn, along with many others, and we will distribute them to local artisans. They, in turn, will make things with them. It could be anything from hats to gloves to scarves to shawls to blankets. I mean, it goes on and on. You can produce anything with alpaca fiber that you can produce with any other wool. Each individual garment that we produce, or the local artisans produce, is from a particular alpaca that you can meet at Bluebird Farm and know who you're actually wearing. By reservation, people can go online to our website and they can reserve a time where they can come to the farm and either simply take a tour, which will give them the opportunity to go in with, interact with, photograph, feel, do selfies with the alpacas. There's also another option where they can actually take an alpaca for a walk. We refer to that as halter training. And that's somewhat on a limited basis, but that's something that they can certainly do also.
Coming up.
When you're out on the trail, things can go wrong really easy. No one's gonna come to save you, so you've gotta know how to save yourself.
You're watching Pet Project.
This really brightened my day.
Hi, my name's Madison Uther, and I'm the very first American Breakaway Roping champion.
If your daughter wants to be a ballerina, you go to ballerina class. It was great for us because I don't know how I'd do it ballerina class.
I've been rodeoing my whole life, but very competitively rodeoing since I was about 8 years old.
Most kids are attracted to horses when they're young, and some take up to them and some don't. Madison always loved to be around them, wanted to ride them, and we just built on that.
Well, my dad, he's rodeoed all of his life, and so is all of his family, and my mom, she plays polo, so it just kind of has always been in my blood. And it's all in the wrist. This is the first year that they've put breakaway roping in the American rodeo. Breakaway roping is a woman's sport only, and you just have a rope and you rope the calf around the neck, and your rope is tied off to your saddle horn with just a little string, and so it breaks off whenever you rope the calf and they stop the time. So once I have my tip down, pointed at my target, I throw it like a baseball right down at their shoulder. And then my slack, which is the part right here, once I throw my rope down, my slack should always be right here.
We ride horses every day, and Maddie runs barrels as well and ropes, so it takes a lot of practice. And we go to a lot of little rodeos too. You have to do it every day to compete at a high level. We built our lives around horses and rodeos, so you gotta have a facility.
Definitely a benefit to living on this much land and having my own arena and barn with my horses available anytime I need to. Really helps me a lot with practicing and getting better, because every day, you know, I have the opportunity to come out here and rope and ride my horses. I've always liked to compete, and so this was just one of the main goals I had when they announced that they'd have breakaway roping in the American rodeo this year. So this is Rooster. He is my horse that I rope breakaway off of, and I won the American on. He's super special to our family. We raised him and my dad trained him. I have to have a very good relationship with my horses. Riding them every day really helps, and knowing when something's wrong with them, just because you know their personality so well. Rooster's personality, you know, he's just so sweet and playful around the barn, and anytime we have to go to a rodeo, he always has such a good attitude, and he's super fun to be around. My dad plays a big role. We practice every day, and he's my only coach really in rodeo, and especially in roping.
He beats you out there.
If I had to compare my dad to any coach.
Not quite as bad as Bobby Knight, but I'm dang close. Is it hard?
No.
Well, then do it.
He's pretty intense in the practice pen and tough on me, but it's what's really pushed me to go past my expectations. I think it's really amazing, you know, to have this opportunity for kids to dream about winning money like this and want to be a professional rodeo athlete.
Hi, Rosie. Can you spin? When we adopted Rosie, she was 3 pounds. She was about the size of a big sweet potato, and we were told that she would grow to be about 20 pounds. We think she's about 130 now. My name is Bill Lucas, and I'm the owner of Rosie the Pig. My wife and I and Rosie live in the city of Chicago in Buena Park, which is about 10 blocks north of Wrigley Field.
I came down here one day and I said, wait a minute, Rosie has a website? Whoa!
My wife and I adopted Rosie 6.5 years ago. When Rosie was smaller, we used to walk her quite a bit in the neighborhood. Cars would just stop. People would hop out of the car and ask if they could take photos.
So muy linda. How old is she?
6.5 years old. Most people have never seen a pig because they don't generally have pigs in a zoo. People in Chicago are more likely to have seen a gorilla or a giraffe than a pig.
My grandson stopped here. Hey, Rosie. Hey, Rosie. It's wonderful having Rosie in the neighborhood.
Rosie, come. Part of Chicago's history was that it used to be famous for its stockyards. And we found out that you're allowed to have a pig as a pet in the city of Chicago, but you're not allowed to raise a pig for slaughter, for food. So Rosie is actually one of the safest pigs in the entire world because she can't be eaten. A couple years ago, Buena Park was painting a mural under Lakeshore Drive. An artist was asking whether I'd be okay if they painted Rosie the pig onto the mural. And we said, of course, that would be really fun. One of the biggest joys of owning a pig is watching the neighborhood kids get to see her. We'll talk to them about Rosie and we'll let the kids pet her, feed them. It's really fun just to make some family's day as they're walking around, not realizing that this yard is kind of a petting zoo.
Coming up.
We're raised with fairy tales from when we're this big, that whole big bad wolf stuff, that doesn't exist.
And later on Pet Project.
5 years ago, if you told me I'd have goats in my future, I'd be, you're crazy.
We usually like to start with the difference between llamas and alpacas.
Our furry little friends.
He won our hearts over.
We love them.
Good dog!
Aren't they cute? You love them.
He is so loving.
Close up.
They're a very kind species, and they are very, very vilified.
Cuddly.
Cute little tortoise.
And did we mention cute?
When we adopted Rosie, she was about the size of a big sweet potato.
This is Pet Project.
It's all in the wrist.
It's been a really good year for the garden until I saw that Chunk was taking some of our vegetables. At first, we were pretty upset about it. Time went on, he was in the camera. I was like, this guy's so cute, how could you be mad at him? I've been gardening for about 20-some years, so I've always dealt with pests one way or the other. This was new for me. End of May, I started noticing like the snap peas and stuff like that just chomped right off the top. At first, I thought it was like a rabbit or something like that. And when we saw that it was the groundhog, it was like, he won our hearts over. He's just trying to feed. He's just trying to fatten up for hibernation. So we embraced it, took him under our wing, and he can have whatever he wants now. He's very smug, like, yeah, I'm eating your stuff. What are you gonna do about it? You got a problem with it? Chunk don't care, and Chunk don't eat junk. The herbs and stuff he didn't mess with, doesn't touch peppers at all. Tomatoes are his absolute favorite. I would have this beautiful red tomato waiting to pick. He would just take a chunk out of it and then drop it, is how he got the name. People just fell in love with him and they were looking forward to seeing Chunk to start their day. Getting comments like, daily portion of Chunk, check. You know, he makes everything sound delicious. Nom, 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 you know, chomp, chomp, chomp. This really brightened my day, thank you. And it's reached all around the world, just right in the backyard. I think he just likes to see his reflection. There's a little bit of security there for him. I think he feels safe. The groundhogs have been here long before we have. This is his land too. I just put the garden on it and he's entitled to his share. He's won our hearts and we're okay with that. For next year, I'm gonna make him his own special garden where he'll have full access to. So hopefully he'll see that. It won't feel the need to eat ours. We could keep this going for a long time.
You can see if Helix takes a little stroll here. There he goes. Without those wheels, he wouldn't be able to move as easy. Helix was hatched in a tortoise sanctuary in Arizona.
by a very close friend of mine, and he gave me a call and he said, listen, I might euthanize it. I took a look at it and I said, geez, this thing is pretty deformed. It has twisted, which is why his name is Helix, but the front of him is perfectly normal. It's a cute little tortoise. So I decided to put some wheels on him, and once I put the wheels on him, he took off.
He's scooting away now.
He's now walking around and enjoying life. He's eating, hanging out with his tortoise friends.
It's just the cutest thing. It just is living life. Like, it's no different.
I sell tortoise eggs. I incubate them, and a couple days before they hatch, I ship them to customers all across the country, and they get to enjoy watching a baby tortoise hatch. It started when I was young. I wanted to breed tortoises, but in order to breed tortoises, you have to have a big colony. I would reach out to breeders and say, can I just buy the eggs? And they said, it's impossible. Can't move tortoise eggs, it'll never work. And I always told myself, I'm gonna make it happen so other people can enjoy hatching a tortoise without owning an entire colony.
I have about 36 here.
Helix will most likely stay here for a very long time. Lifespan can be 60 to 80 years. It's a long-term pet.
Oh no, he flipped.
At least you have him popping a wheelie on camera.
My actual day job is I'm a medical sales consultant. This is a side hustle. Completely different until Helix came along, and then they kind of merged together because of Helix's deformity. I said, I'm gonna give this guy a little chance, make it happen.
I did my normal weekly Target run, and I was told that I just need to find the smallest wheels we could find. So the boys and I were in the Hot Wheels section, and we saw a tiny little skateboard, and we just kind of grabbed it and gave it to him.
I took the wheels off of the thing, and I used what's called gel glue, and I just glued it right onto the back end of it.
He did all the work. He did all the work.
It was fantastic. It was very heartwarming to see him as happy as he was being able to move around.
I'll treat him like a hermit crab, right? As he grows larger, I'll have to get the next size wheels.
Get bigger skateboards and buy bigger wheels.
Giving back is very important. I created t-shirts for Helix. So for every sale of the t-shirt, $5 of that sale goes to tortoise and turtle conservation group.
The kids like it. It's good for them to see things like that too. It teaches them that from the outside he may look different, but ultimately he's doing the same thing as every other tortoise is doing. And the same thing goes with, if they see a child in a wheelchair or they see someone different, and they still feel the same issue and they still act the same issue, and they should be treated the same.
Still to come on Pet Project.
Hi, my name's Madison Uther, and I'm the very first American Breakaway Roping champion.
And later,
mushing is a dog pulling a sled. It's this connection between the dogs and the handlers.